Hello, and this is part 3 of the short series in which I discuss my political activism record. And yeah, so now we're in the 2010s. And in May of 2011, I attended a Christian anarchist protest Gudstjänst against Swedish weapons exports at the BAE Systems corporate headquarters in Karlskoga, Sweden. And this was a protest mass organized by the priest that was, by the same priest that organized the Rainbow Mass at Norrstrands And we went there to Karlskoga. It was a group of Christian anarchist people and other concerned people who were against Swedish weapons exports. And we were a little lively crowd, and we took over a section of the parking lot, and we had our little protest mass. And it was, there was some performance act, there was an advert, and then there was the sermon, was like an activist sermon denouncing, weapons industry exports to countries that violate human rights and all these things. The Swedish weapons industry profits from atrocities and violations of human rights and whatever. The language of imperialism was not used, because the language of imperialism is not part of the narrative of Christian anarchism, or the Christian opposition to weapons exports. So that would be the Marxist criticism of this effort. But at the time, Marxism was not my focus. At the time, I was focused on Christian anarchism. I was very interested in 2011, I was very interested in Christian anarchism. So, and Christian anarchism is based on, basically, the premise of Christian anarchism is when Jesus said that, law was made for man, not man for the law. So, law is subordinate to man. And man in the 21st century means the Universal Declaration of Human Rights of 1948. So law has to be subordinate to human rights. If law is not subordinate to human rights, then man has the right to engage in civil disobedience and non-compliance. Is justified. In other words, the law can only be respected if it is congruent with human rights. If the law violates human rights, then that law is illegitimate, and people don't have to respect it. They can engage in civil disobedience and non-compliance until the law is changed to conform with human rights. That's the premise of Christian anarchism, at least the variable of Christian anarchism that I was subscribed to at the time, which was associated with the notion of theories of non-violent civil disobedience and non-compliance, right? Passive resistance, leaderless resistance, non-violent non-compliance, etc. And all these ideas are derived from, the modus operandi of Martin Luther King Jr. and Mahatma Gandhi, etc. So, non-violent ways to bring down oppressive systems. I was very much concerned with that. Type of perspective, because I have never been a friend. I have always been against and skeptical of armed struggle and guerrilla warfare. I have yet, very few times has that strategy worked. It has never worked in Western Europe, and it has never worked in Latin America except for 2 occasions. The only 2 times guerrilla warfare worked in Latin America was in Cuba and Nicaragua. Cuba 1959 and Nicaragua 1979. And that's it. In Cuba, the war lasted between 56 and 59, the guerrilla war. But in Nicaragua, 79. So those are the only 2 times. Everywhere else in Latin America, guerrilla struggle has failed. In Europe, it failed too. Red Army faction failed, armed proletarian cells failed, IRA failed, all these failed. So, that kind of violent approach of guerrilla warfare is counterproductive, because it only emboldens repression from the state. So it's just not a good thing. I prefer to explore non-violent means to take down tyrannical regimes. So You know, what, now that I am into Marxism and having been through anarcho-syndicalism, I understand though that, you know, mass nonviolent civil disobedience is part of it, but you also, but more crucial, I mean, mass nonviolent civil disobedience is a complementary to the main thing, which should be the general strike. You know, an aggregate of wildcat strikes that results in a large general strike, a wildcat general strikes that paralyzes the economy. Then, in context of a paralyzed economy, precipitates the fall of the government, and then you can have mass nonviolent civil disobedience, and then that takes the system down. Is, you know, and I'm basing this, of course, if you look at the, you know, the Romanian Revolution of 1989, December 1989, you know, the way the Ceausescu regime was taken down. That's a very good example of a, you know, a nonviolent revolution. Yeah. So, and another one, the Argentinazo of 2001, when, you know, the people of Argentina revolted against the neoliberal government, and the president of Argentina, de la Rua, had to escape from the Casa Rosada in a helicopter because they were gonna, you know, it was a revolution against the political class. And again, the government fled for their lives. So that's another example of nonviolent revolution that I look at. So yeah. So anyways, I was in Christian anarchism is very much concerned with this, except that Christian anarchism comes at it from the perspective of theology. So, you know, like I just explained, as Jesus Christ stated, you know, law is made for man, not man for the law. So law is subordinate to man, not man subordinate to law, right? And man means human rights. So law has to be subordinate to human rights. That's the premise of Christian anarchism. So anyways, I made a video about the experience in this Karlskoga, Sweden protest against Swedish weapons exports. This protest, Gudstjänstmass, and I put a link in the description to it. But one of the things that happened is, of course, the police showed up. They showed up with a paddy wagon in a police car, and, you know, the police just stood there watching us. But as soon as the Gudstjänst was over, as soon as the priest gave the blessing, the policeman came up and said, "Get lost," right? Get lost, get lost. This is, you're trespassing, so get lost. So we left the premises and whatever. But yeah, yeah. So let's see. Now I also attended in 2011. And in 2011, I attended. Oh, I need to show this maybe. I'm gonna make a little thing showing you some of the things. This is a collection of things that I have from all these years of activism. You know, and I'm just gonna digress here before I show you some the Occupy thing. This is from Syndikalistiska Ungdomsförbundet SUF Karlstad, and this was in 2003. There was a referendum on the euro in Sweden, and this is one of the leaflets that SUF Karlstad put together. Yeah, Syndikalistiska. Yeah, it was against the EMU, against the European Union. Yeah, so this was, you know, a leaflet put against. This leaflet advocates voting no on the referendum, vote no on the euro. You know, see, so, and they said that the euro referendum, the yes campaign represented a capitalist offensive against the rights of the people or whatever. So that is one leaflet. I've already shown you in the video from Reclaim the Streets Amsterdam, right? Reclaim the Streets Amsterdam. I'll show you that already in the other video, right? This was the legalized street rave. There were other raves too that I helped organize. This is one of them. Let's see. But what I want to show you here, though, is something else. Here. This is a poster from the Occupy movement, and I'm going to talk now about Occupy, right? In October 2011, I attended the Occupy Assembly in Stockholm, Sweden, right? And it was on October 15th, 2011, the Occupy Day of Action, Global Occupy Day of Action, and it was just like February 15th, 2003 all over again. It was a mass movement all over the world. People demonstrated. People came out to the squares and occupied the squares and engaged in Occupy. And I did that. In Stockholm, I participated. It was at Sergels Torg. And yeah, so I went ahead and did that. And this was a poster from Occupy. You know, this is an American one, right? This was on November 17th. This was a later demonstration, but mass nonviolent direct action, right? This was the perspective of Occupy. And again, I was really attracted to this because, again, as a Christian anarchist, I had been a student, and like I've been really interested in the whole idea of nonviolent means to resist tyranny. And this poster caught my eye because it's mass nonviolent direct action. That's precisely what I believe in. Yeah, that's what I'm advocating. So this was interesting, you know. So yeah, so mass nonviolent direct action, and you know, unfortunately, you know, and when I went to that demonstration in Stockholm, in you know, Sergels Torg, I was like, wow, this was amazing. I mean, coming out of the Bush era, you know, it was like amazing to see that people were finally agreeing with Ralph Nader, you know, en masse, you know. So it was great, you know, all over the world they were agreeing with Ralph Nader and Hugo Chavez, and that was wonderful. So yeah, you know, and for about 5 seconds I thought this might be the beginning of the revolution. It wasn't. You know, Occupy was a flash in the pan. And you know, there are different theories as to why that happened. One theory, one hypothesis that I've heard, it's not a theory, a hypothesis that I've heard, is that the reason Occupy didn't pan out is because Occupy was deliberately set up by the American government, and that it was deliberately set up by the Obama administration to serve as preface to his re-election campaign in 2012. So the Obama campaign in 2012 would say, you know, if you were involved in Occupy, then you want to vote for Obama, right? Because Obama represents the values that Occupy stood for, or something like that, which is bullshit. Because you know, when, in other words, that the Obama campaign sponsored Occupy in order to like negate the Tea Party, which it did. Occupy denuded, Occupy eclipsed and trounced the Tea Party, and that was wonderful. But that Obama did this in order to, you know, help his prospects in 2012 against Mitt Romney. And you know, I was like, I don't know, you know, I don't know. That sounds to me like a conspiracy theory, you know. But that was one of the narratives that was put forward as to why Occupy failed, because it was sponsored by the government. And you know, I don't believe so. I think that the reason Occupy failed is because it was focused only on symbolic protest, and you know, symbolic protest, and you know, they called for, you know, the right thing, or half of it. They called for mass nonviolent direct action, but they didn't call for an aggregate of wildcat strikes, because what can take a government down is paralyzing the economy, and for that you need a general strike. And the general wildcat strike is an aggregate of smaller, you know, industry-wide wildcat strikes. So you would need, besides mass nonviolent direct action, you would need an orgy of wildcat strikes, and then that would bring the regime down, not just symbolic protest, right? So that was that's the reason. That's the hypothesis as to why Occupy failed that I subscribed to, because their tactics were symbolic and not really substantive, but symbolic and tokenistic. So, anyways, but you know, why Occupy failed is whatever. You know, many people have different viewpoints as to how that happened or why that happened. Let's see. Let's see. Oh, yeah, this is me. Right. Let's see. I want to show you something else. Backtracking here. This is me at Soltorget in Karlstad giving a speech against the war in Iraq on March the 20th, 2003. That was me giving a speech against the war in Iraq at Soltorget in Karlstad. And these were my comrades from the Barland Mot Krieg of Terrorism. They also gave a speech. And another one gave a speech. And here I am holding the banderol over here. Holding the banderol, Mot Krieg of Terrorism, you know, against war and terrorism. We were very much organized. It was only a small group of us. There was only 4 of us here. But we were very determined in our, you know, effort to denounce the invasion of Iraq in March the 20th, 2003. So, and here I am again giving a speech at Soltorget in Kronstadt, in that era. Yeah, and this is something from later. But anyways, right. Next thing I did, of course, I got involved with Revolutionära Fronten, because what happened is that when I was in at the Occupy demonstration in Stockholm, I became exposed to Revolutionära Fronten activists who were there, and you know, and I was like interested in them or whatever, and I became interested in them, and I ended up becoming an informal associate. Between 2011 and 2013, I was an informal associate of Revolutionära Fronten. I identified with them, and I supported them. You know, I was a sympathizer, a supporter, an informal associate. I leafleted with them, and I participated in the International Women's Day March with them. You know, I did a lot of leafleting, so, and also stickering, putting stickers, taking down Nazi stickers, putting up there. So this is one of the stickers that I was putting up, you know, from the Revolutionära Fronten. This is, I was into them. I was following their work closely between 2011 and 2013, right? Between Occupy and Riva, I was following them. So this was them, you know, and they, as you can see, they were very, because they openly called for socialism, right? Socialism, workers' rights, anti-fascism, opposition, right? This is, you know, the sticker from the Revolutionära Fronten that I was putting up all over the place. Yeah, so, yeah, that goes here, I guess. Yeah, you know, and I have my little thing here, a little activist, I don't know, my activist souvenir, I guess you can call it. My activist souvenir thing is like this pamphlet. There's all these things that I have. Yeah, this is one that I really like, from Revolution, International Marxist Tendency. Refugees welcome. Let the capitalists pay. I really like. Let's see. This ones are really interesting. Yeah, this is a system change, not climate change. This is from later on, from the environmental movement. This is from intervening in Fridays for Future. You know, and it has the political program of here. You can look at it. You can like take a screenshot or like stop the video and take a screenshot if you want to read it. So yeah, I'll leave it for a few seconds for you to do. Okay, yeah. Yeah, so right, and let's see what else I have in this little baggie. This is from RTU, NATO ur av Sverige, NATO out of Sweden, right? Another one. Let's see. This is one of my favorites. Climate conflict is class war, right? The climate struggle is a class struggle, right? Yeah, this is a good one. I really, really like this one. Yeah, so let's see, what else do I have here? Yeah, this one from the war in Ukraine, from Sveriges Kommunistiska Ungdom, against the war in Ukraine. Yeah. This is recent. And let's see, I have another one here, more recent thing. Let's see. This is from Radvisa Party Socialisterna. I love this leaflet from Radvisa Party Socialisterna. It's one of my favorite. Socialism is the answer, right? Radvisa Party Socialisterna. And I got these leaflets when I volunteered with them in 2022. And I come to that later. But yeah, this is. I'm gonna put it in here so you can take a screenshot if you want. I hope it works. Let's see. Like this. There you go. Radvisa Party Socialisterna. They don't call themselves Revista Party Socialista anymore. Now they call themselves Socialist Alternative. But yeah, this is their. You can take a screenshot of the text if you want. I have my little collection here. I want to show you the one about the most recent addition to my little collection here. Yeah, wait. Oh, here it is. Of course, this is the latest, huh? Leve Palestina, boicota Israel, right? This is the latest. Leve Palestina, cross-sionism. Leve Palestina. That's not right. Yeah. So yeah. So I have a little collection here of stuff. Yeah. So. Yeah. But this is the Emilio Program pamphlet of Esberiges Comunistica Party, which I promote online. I'm gonna put a link to the description to where you can get it if you want to. So, and this is the organization I am organized with now, right? Comunistica. Yeah. So, anyways, this went off the rails a little bit, but well, I can throw in something. Anyways, I was an informal associate with Revolutionary Fronten, and you know, mostly what I did with them, I went leafleting, and participating in a demonstration for International Women's Day. And I also had a lot of discussions, political discussions with them that were really interesting. You know, yeah. So in 2012, I became an online volunteer with Party for Socialism and Liberation, who was running Gloria La Riva for president in 2012. And you know, again in 2012, I did not. I was never fooled by Barack Obama. You know, and whether Occupy was staged by the Obama administration as a preface to his re-election campaign or not, Barack Obama was never, I was never, especially after what happened in 2008, when I was tagged as a sympathizer of the Ku Klux Klan for supporting Ralph Nader and opposing Obama or whatever. You know, after that experience of being, libeled and misrepresented like that, I was deeply offended, and I don't want to have anything more to do with Obama or his supporters. So I supported, and in 2012, Ralph Nader was retired. So it was a choice between Jill Stein and Party for Socialism and Liberation. But because I have been through the experience of Occupy, I decided to go with the most radical choice, and it's Party for Socialism and Liberation, even though I kept an eye on the campaign of Jill Stein. Okay, and I was impressed by her efforts, because she did something very significant. When she was barred from the presidential debates, she staged a protest outside of the venue where the debates were taking place. And that was very good. She attracted a lot of attention with that, and it illustrated the undemocratic nature of the two-party dictatorship in the United States.